Chapter 6. Home Sweet Home.
The start of a new day. Brent slowly rose out of sleep into consciousness. His first night sleeping in his own bed in well over a year and a half, and it was surprisingly uncomfortable. His unused bed was damp and musty. His home, if you could call it that, was supposed to be aired by his automatic conditioning suite twice a day. But only 2 days after he was sent to Deltroid, the circuits reset and the conditioning suite never came back on. Like all the prefabricated housing units in this particular vicinity of the planetoid Marcellus, it was cramped and dingy, more like a storage container than a living space. The grim red light of the twin morning suns peeped through Brent's blinds and lit the tiny room in a sickly orange that reacted unfortunately with the alcohol consumed the night before. Brent wasn't as happy to be home now as he was while celebrating his release last night. His bunk was bland, a grey synthetic sheet over an old used mattress. The colours painted on the walls were feminine colours, light peach and daffodil yellow, hardly fitting to someone of Brent's personality. But his home had belonged to his mother before him. She'd passed 6 years ago to a failing liver from heavy drinking throughout her life. He didn't know why, but he wasn't glad to be home this time. This town, this planetoid, this shitty little shack. It reminded him of all his failings. 32 years old and still here on this dingy little rock, scraping the barrel. If Brent got the chance to change things in his life, for once and for all, he thinks that it all starts with getting the fuck off of Marcellus. Once Brent had dragged himself up, he readied himself in the hygiene pod and got dressed into his smartest clothes. A hand-stitched Aquilian suit made from the high-quality silk of an Aquilian arc fly. OK, so not as expensive or fine as Palaxian silk from a Palaxian crater worm, but still, the mutt's nuts, especially in this quadrant of space. Today he's going to get a loan with his business plan down at Fresh Start. Not one to get his hopes up. He always considers himself a realist, but he had a pretty good feeling about this plan. He checked his reflection in the mirror, combed his shoulder-length hair over his self-tailored fashionable bald patch and splashed on some cologne. Now, he had this business plan ready to put into action before he went away. In fact, all the money that they should have made from that job was going to go into putting Brent finally on the straight and narrow. But that's not going to happen again. He's suited, he's booted, he's got plans, and they do not include Clavlin and his smuggling anymore. Brent walked over to the H2O dispenser with a plate and filled it with water. He took out 3 tiny chalk tablets out of a pocket-sized container, prison-issued dehydrated food capsules. He always took a few spares for emergency. He placed the tablets in the water, took it over to the hydration cooker, placed the plate in, closed the door, stood for 2 seconds whilst the cooker whirred into life, and then ping! What he took out of the oven was bacon, eggs and beans. Breakfast is served. He crammed his huge frame into the tiny space behind the breakfast bar and ate his breakfast, thinking of how this was going to be a great day, and how time stood still for no man, and how he could not wait to finally be able to leave this shitty little life behind. 4 prefab boxes down from Brent's, in the same sized home as Brent struggles to live in, his best friend and literal partner in crime, Clavlin Hoper, wakes to the same sickening sun. His hangover pulses through his cranium, as in the living room next to his sleeping quarters, a row has erupted between one of his 5 children and their mother, his wife Liz. He stirred, and a strained channel burrowed through his brow as he tried to resist being woken. He slammed his head under his pillow, and when the noise stepped up another level as tempers rose, a stifled scream tried to escape from beneath the pillow, and he grabbed Liz's pillow too from her side of the bed and slammed it over his own, as though 2 pillows may do it. When it became apparent that his sleep had been disturbed for good, he threw the pillows across the room. "For fuck's sake!" He slammed the alloy tin walls between the 2 rooms very loud several times, hitting it so hard he dented and creased the wall into the living room. "Fucking keep it down in there! I'm trying to sleep," he heard Lissy say. "See, you've woken your father now. That's all I need." This erupted the argument again. Clav's oldest daughter, Chevron, piping up. It's no wonder he sleeps in, having to face you at home. It's no wonder he always works away and prefers prison colonies to being at home. The voices grew, glass and crockery smashed, and the baby started screaming. Clav lay on his bed and planted a fist into each of his eye sockets in a silent rage. When he eventually emerged from the bedroom, dressed only in a torn pair of boxer shorts, Liz had Chevron pinned against the monitor wall, using the legs of a chair to imprison the 14-year-old. "What the hell is all this shouting about?" Clav asked. "Lissy, let our daughter go, and Chevron, don't you say another word." "But Dad, she..." "Chevron! No way am I letting her go," Lissy said. "Lissy!" He manipulated the chair out of his wife's hands and removed it, positioning himself between the feuding pair. "Now, tell me, one at a fucking time, what the fuck this is all about? And will somebody shut up that damn baby?" Lissy plugged a dummy into the baby's mouth. "Thank you," said Clav. "Now, what the fuck is going on?" Lissy crossed her arms and looked at her daughter. "Well, Chevron, you got the loudest voice and the most to say. Why don't you tell your father what's going on?" "Nothing's going on. She's just interfering as usual, stupid cow," Chevron declared. "Nothing's going on?" Lissy asked. "No." "Nothing? I said no, didn't I? Do you want to ask our daughter why I found a pregnancy test on the Encom with a positive read on it?" "Mom!" Chevron roared. "What?" Clav asked, his face screwed up in disbelief. "Well," Lissy prompted. Whether it's prompting a valid reason from Chev or a fatherly reaction from Clav was uncertain. "You're pregnant?" Clav asked. "So? All my friends have kids, what's the big deal?" "Who with?" "Wall Grossberger." "Wall? Fucking Wall?" The disappointment grew on his face and in his body language, and his overweight lump sagged. He slumped against the wall next to his daughter. "The Grossbergers? The Grossbergers are poorer than us, Chev. How many times did I tell you that if you have to get made pregnant by a rich kid?" He slid down the wall and sat with his head hanging between his legs, a hand clamped to his scalp. "Wall Grossberger? Fuck." He looked up. "Wall Grossberger's dad cleans fucking sanitation droids. He cleans the droids that clean toilets. That's the lowest job in the world." "Oh, come off it, Dad. He hasn't done that job in years," Chev protested. "Oh yeah? So what's he do now?" "He's an IJ, actually, at the local broadcasting network." "He's a what?" "He's an IJ for the Marcel System satellite. He does a love hour." What the fuck does that mean?" "Local radio, hun. He presents local radio," Liz explained. "Oh my God." He dropped his head back between his legs and sobbed into his hands. "That's even worse. Those dicks don't even earn a sanitation droid cleaner's wage. They act like they're fucking rich and famous, but they're not. They're losers. You can't keep the baby." "Thank you," Lissy said, placing a defiant hand on her hip. "But Dad, I'm practically the only girl in my class who hasn't got a baby. Only Ola Fastingy and me. And what does that say about me? Ola Fastingy is half a Welkadji." Suddenly, Clav saw the situation from a different light. "That does look pretty bad." "Oh, no, you don't," Lissy fumed. "For the last 3 days I've stood my ground. I haven't waited for you to come home from jail and undermine me." "But a Welkadji, Lissy? You want our daughter to be on par with a fucking Welkadji?" Clav hissed. "Oh, you're such a speciesist." "I am not a speciesist." "You are so, and she knows it. She knew you'd bite. She isn't the only human in her class with no child. It's ridiculous." "I am." "Okay, what about Spacey Kellerman? She hasn't got a baby." "She's not even in my class, Mom." "She's in my year." "All right, or Sissy Kreshnov?" "Oh, here we go." Chev rolled her eyes skyward. "You know the story with Sissy. She's a lesbian." "That's what I've told you right from the outset," Lissy fumed. "That you should become a lesbian. Then you wouldn't have to be pregnant like your friends. Do you think we've got room for even more kids in here?" "I can move out." "You're not moving out this side of 18. I need your allowance." "You'll have an extra allowance if we stay. And an extra mouth to feed," Lissy raged. "They cancel out." "Will you two please shut up?" Clav leapt to his feet. "And Liz, while we're on the subjects of babies," he points to the cot with the baby sucking on its dummy. "Who is that?" "That's Willis," Lissy grinned. "Who you'd have met last night if you came here when you got out of jail instead of going straight to the cantina." "Willis?" Clav looked at him. "And he's mine?" "Oh yeah, definitely." "You're sure?" He saw the offence on his wife's face and remembered that old saying about a woman scorned. To calm her down before she erupted, he added, "I know you're my wife and you'd never do anything wrong by me, but I've just spent the last 18 months on a correctional planet. He's yours, of course he's yours. So can I hold him?" "Yeah, he's your son, so hold him," Lissy said. Clav never felt prouder than when holding one of his children in his arms. He was 100% a family man, at least for those brief moments that he spent at home. "Hello, you," he said, cradling baby Willis in his arms. Willis was unfazed at being in a stranger's arms. "Hey there, I'm your dad. You don't know me, but I'm going to be around a lot more now." Both Lissy and Chev let out a single snort laugh. Clav glared at them. "I know your mum and sister don't believe me, but from now on, I'm not going back to Deltroid, or Crammerstav, or Bolstick, or any other scabby little prison planet again. I'm changing my career." "You're what?" Lissy growled. "I am," he said proudly. "Chev, out," Lissy huffed. "But Mum, I'm out now!" A huff and a punch to the monitor wall on the way out, and Shevlin left the house. Clav shared a look with his new son that even the baby seemed to recognise as, "Here we go again. Mother knows best." "A new career?" Liss inquired. "Yeah, that's right. Before you go off, a new career. You stopped smuggling, yet you've spent all of our money to get that stupid ship out of the lockup. Smuggling is our livelihood. Do you think I can survive without your income on this planet's benefits? Bread and butter money, that's all that is. I've waited 18 months for you to get home, and now you're here, you're going smuggling. That's final." "No, Lissy, no," Clav put the baby back into the cot. "I'm not smuggling. I'm going legitimate, or semi-legitimate." Lissy folded her arms and looked out of the window away from her husband. "Deliveries, Liss, deliveries. Cargo, not just drugs and shit, but real cargo for real companies, legal companies." Oh, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, you're going to work for an hourly rate, right? "No, I'll do price work. My job's my price. It'll be exactly the same as smuggling, just without breaking the law. I mean, now the ship's been fixed up and made legal, I don't need to hide, right? I don't need to do all this illegal shit anymore just because my ship's illegal. My ship's legal now, so that means I can be legal now. Now I can go up to some businessman and finally say, 'Hey, I'm legitimate. I'm a legal cargo hauler, and I'm here to do any legal transportation, whatever your needs.' And if they're willing to pay a little extra to do some illegal shit on the side, then that's a bonus, right?" The complete contradiction absently stated by Clav's slow-burning brain was completely overlooked by his ever-faithful spouse, who finally exhaled a release from her rage and flashed him a cigarette-stained, toothy smile. "You really have thought about this, haven't you?" Yes, I have, as a matter of fact. I've got to responsibilise this family up, and I know that. I'm a changed man. The colony really taught me this time." She opened her arms. "Come here." They embraced. "I have missed you, Clav. I know, and I'm sorry, Lissy. I've been a bad father." "No, you're no worse than most. You just keep getting caught, that's all. I'm stupid." "But you're my stupid," she said. They separate. "It's good to have you back, so we can finally all be a family together again." "A legitimate family," Clav added. Clav began to wave his hand in front of the cupboard sensors. They opened up one by one, and he rummaged through for food, but his mind kept creeping back to Chevron's dilemma. "Lissy, don't be so hard on Chev, hey? She's a good, sensible girl. She wouldn't get pregnant without really knowing it's what she wants. And okay, the Grossbergers are stupid, but to be called in the same tar brush as a Welkadji? No way. Not my daughter." Liss was about to screw her face up when Clav used the best reassuring voice he could muster. "You remember what it was like to be 14, right?" A coy, girly nod from his wife. "You remember how we tried and tried for Lissy to come and be born before she was born? You remember how hard it was that all the other kids were laughing at us and calling us names?" "Yeah, like virgin," Lissy added. "Exactly. You remember stuff like that." "Yeah, it's always stuck with me. It'll never leave me," she admitted. She took a big breath. "You're right. You know what? You're absolutely right. I'm going to tell her tonight. I know how important your first is. I'm such a shit mother." "No, you're not," Clav said, leaning in and taking her into his arms. "I am, but you're a great father." He looked down at Wilson, still happily sucking on his dum-dum. "He's beautiful. He is, isn't he?
How old is he?
3 months.
Wow.
3 months already.